is there any kind of is there any kind of sense, any felt sense at all to awareness, or is it just like a blank? I don't want to call it a state, but a blank
Yes,
way of
correct.
a blank being, where there's nothing other than just witnessing or.
No, no, no. The experience of awareness, knowing itself, is a very rich experience. It's it's experience. It's a very rich experience of peace and love and freedom. And I mean, this is languages are words I'm using, but the experience is not the words. Yes, right. It's not at all a blank state. It's a very rich, very bubbly. It's bubbly. If you want to use the word bliss, that's okay. You can use the word bliss, but extended bliss and ending bliss, not like, peaks up and down. But I don't use bliss because usually bliss is at least the way the mind look at it is that there is a peak to it. It's an experience of happiness, of freedom, and it's very rich. Heck.
And while you have the body, there's a felt sense of that, and with no body, you'll just keep feeling that. Well, in another form, in another way. I don't want to use.
Right. Good question. Take a look at it this way, Frank. Where do you go between two sensations?
Nowhere.
Where do you go?
Nowhere.
You still are, right? Now, when I'm talking about awareness knowing itself is a very rich experience, I'm talking about that which is between thoughts. I'm talking about awareness, that which is between thoughts. So between thoughts you are, but knowing yourself, this gap, quote unquote, gap between thoughts is a very rich gap. Now, I want to make a very important addendum to what I'm talking about is the gap between thoughts. In fact, what I'm talking about is the gap between thoughts, and I'm talking about even in the presence of thoughts, in the presence of mind, in the presence of body, because we assume that the body is always present, but it's not true. The body is not always present. We conceptualize that the body is always present, but experientially, the body is not always present. I'll come back to that in a minute. But the point that I wanted to make is that the gap is not just between thoughts or between perceptions. The gap is the essence of all thoughts, experiences, worlds, minds, including the absence. So it's the absence and the presence of it, even in its movement, in its motion, because manifestation is nothing else but the formless activity, It's the formlessness that appears as form, like the sound of a flute. It's a vibration of air as a metaphor, and then there is holes in the tube, and then there is sound of a melody, or the sounds of a flute. So form is a modulation of formlessness. So this gap that I'm talking about is not just in the absence of phenomenal. It's also in their presence. Now, there was something I was going to return to. Well, I forgot.
I guess maybe we were talking about maybe what is it like to feel without a body, to feel bliss without a body.
Right. So we assume that reality is the body, and the mountains and the rivers and the trees. And we say, oh my God, in the absence of a body, in the absence of mountains, in the absence of trees. What is the experience of consciousness knowing itself? What is the experience of peace? What is the experience of happiness? What is the experience? Why we ask this question? We ask this question because there is an assumption that there is something real here, which is the body or the mind or the world, that's going to disappear. And in its absence, what's going to happen? So there is the assumption that reality is there is a real body. But there is no real body. The reality of the body is not the body. So there isn't a real body. There is a body whose reality or which reality is consciousness. Why? Because what would be the body without consciousness? Take away consciousness right now. Is there a body? You can say, well, no, the body without consciousness would still be bones and heartbeat and blah 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 and blah blah blah. That's just story, because we never had an experience of a body outside of consciousness. We imagine that there is a body existing outside of consciousness, but experientially, we've never experienced a body. Body meaning what? Meaning a perception, there is a body, an image, and a bodily sensation, hunger. Can you experience hunger without awareness or consciousness? What is hunger without awareness and consciousness? Right. So in terms of what is experience of consciousness without the body, what would it be like? There is no answer to this question, because the answer to the question can only be encapsulated by the mind as some sort of image, and all images are limited. What is the experience of freedom, Frank? Can you describe it? You can't describe it. You can't describe it. But although you can't describe it, you know it. You know it, but you can't really describe it. You can try to describe it. You can make some images and so on, and then I will receive some of your images and I'll make my own images. But the way I understand your description of freedom is because I know the experience of freedom. We all know the experience of freedom. It's not your description that I'm understanding. My understanding about freedom is because I know freedom, and your understanding about freedom is because you know freedom. It doesn't matter the word. It doesn't matter the words we say about it. We know it.
Uh-huh.
Now, there has been many near-death experiences, many NDE experiences. You just go on YouTube and type in NDE, and you will find that there are numerous experiences of bodies dying, right? I mean, this body's dead, brain activity, MRI of the brain, 0, heartbeat gone, respiration gone. How long has it been gone? 15 minutes. And this person returns. This body emerges, whatever, the heartbeat comes back, and this person describes an experience. And there are many NDE experiences. The main thing, I would say all of them, but if you take a look at many of the NDE experiences, they're talking about something beyond the mind, light and a sense of happiness that they cannot describe, a sense of freedom that they cannot describe, a sense of telepathy that they cannot describe, freedom from time and space, experiencing themselves when they were 2 years old. And what they're describing is an out-of-body experience, or they're still describing a mind experience in very fantastic way. In a way that is like defies our common way of perceiving and thinking and understanding. but it's still phenomenal. It's still about light and time, and I saw my great grandfather. There is still, I experienced great happiness. It's still phenomenal. The experience of consciousness knowing itself is beyond words, beyond mind, beyond time, beyond space. No beginning, no ending. It's unfathomable. It's undescribable. To whom would you describe it? Is there anything outside of it? And is there anything beyond that one reality? No. Is there anything limiting reality? No. What would limit it? So it's infinite possibilities. These are still words, Frank. I can only speak words to you, but the main thing that I find to be relevant is to speak or share this freedom, this love, this effortlessness, this flow, silence says it all.
Beautiful. Thank you, Magdi. Beautiful,
Okay.
beautiful. Yeah, thank you so much.
Okay, beautiful. Thank you all. Lovely to be with you.